that picture. All right, we got to get into our speaker because I'm super excited to have Garrett Sweigert share with us today. So it's really quick. So Garrett is our speaker today, and we've had a lot of speakers. You know, these first three speakers so far in the past, and a lot of them have ministries or they might even be professional Christians, which is awesome. They've been fantastic. But it's always, for me, it's always like extra special when like one of our very own comes up here, one of our own BMF guys. And why that is extra special is because maybe sometimes you see speakers come up and you're like, oh, this is a professional Christian or whatever else. But think about how many times we have guys like within our own group that come up here and just share their own testimony. It's like one of us, and it's like you really relate to that, right? Of just this man that's just coming up to humbly share his story and to motivate us all with his story. It's also great for me because it is a friend and one of us, so I don't have to. I didn't get the bio because I think I can just wing it here. So correct me if I'm wrong, Garrett, if I miss anything. So Garrett grew up in the northwest part of the country, right, in Oregon. That's where he grew up. He's been in Barrington Hills now for, 5 or 6 years, I would say, that they moved out here. And he is the founder and CEO of Blackout Logistics, which is about a decade, right? I'm trying to do this all by what I looked. I did look up that one.
On you, man.
Yeah, I know. So he moved out here 5 years ago with his beautiful wife and family, 4 kids currently. Right now, we have the oldest Gage right here. So get up for Gage in the front row. Love having you here. And that's actually, when I point out Gage, that's kind of how I first connected with Garrett, right? Like a lot of us are in this season of life where your kids are doing activities and sports and you meet other men that way. And so that's how I first connected with Garrett that way. And, you know, when I see him, you know, you can see how the way he interacts with others, with other adults, guys like me, and then just the way he interacts with kids. And it's kind of like the reminder, what I think of with that is like what Jesus talked about in Matthew 7, that they would know you by your fruit, right? So that when you see somebody like that, you're like, man, something's different with this guy's life, right? Like, let's have everybody, hopefully, when they meet us, say that there's something different with our life. And so that was something I was initially caught, not just the way what he treated, the way his kids were, and just the way his family was. You can tell that something's different. Now, come to find out, we know why there's something different because of his life in Christ, right? But that immediately, you as a man, you're like, man, something's different about this guy. And it also kind of relates to, remember the intro video we had last week with Pastor Joby, and he was talking about that our joy should be the one thing that is the biggest tool we have in our evangelism, right? I think that's how he said it. Our joy should be the biggest tool we have in our evangelism. And so he referenced that verse, what is it, 1 Peter 3:15, that we should be able to have an account for the joy that is within us. So I'm super excited for you guys to hear today. We're going to have the account for the joy that is within Garrett. So Garrett, please come on up and lead us. And another thing too is like, you know, we've been friends now for a few years, and I think it was about a year, maybe a little bit over a year ago, and he was kind of sharing a little bit more about his story, which I'm not going to ruin anything now. But
it's a weak story.
But I was just like, all right, you're coming up to share that with us. And part of it too was, you know, last week we had Sam, and part of his story I'm sure he's going to share is Sam was one of the ones that discipled him. And so go ahead and take it away and share with us. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you guys. Beautiful. All right, so I'm just going to tell you my life, basically, and I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I'm not going to get a ton of the childhood stuff, but it was a pretty wild run, and so far, been fortunate, and I've had a ton of things that have been challenging, and I want to share them because I think they're important to share. I will warn you, on the third slide, there is a highly graphic image of an accident I was in, so if you've got a weak stomach, do not look. We don't need people yakking. So, so I started my career in motorcycle road racing. So I was a tire distributor for Pirelli tires. I forwent college, just decided like college wasn't my route. Was accepted to Purdue for mechanical engineering. Just wasn't my game. I was always want to get my hands dirty, want to understand the technology behind things. So go next slide. So I got into racing. So this is actually my big ass right here on a motorcycle, and then the AMA Superbike circuit, did a bunch of stuff, and you know, part of the thing that's unique about that type of business It's one of the most unethical, adrenaline-filled, like, it really doesn't matter what you're doing. It's a get shit. If I use colorful language, excuse me, apologies. But it's a true grind. So I was working 7 days a week. I was working, 30 days in a row, no days off, driving in between events. We grew this operation when I was 19 from a one state operation to an 18 state fulfillment operation. And it was really my first charge in business. I had no idea really what I was doing. I was just like kind of blinded with this guise of more. I'm like, you know what? If we can do more, we can sell more tires, go to more races, I can drink more, I can party more, there's more girls, there's more stuff. It's just more is more, right? I was taught, be more, do it fast, full throttle, make it happen. So I'm running really, really hard. And going to school, I was going to school at night, working during the day, and then flying out on the weekends, do tire fulfillments, things like that. And some of these are going to get me a little emotional. They were pretty fucked up. And then I got in a really bad wreck, and I was about 1/8 of an inch away from a femoral artery, and no gauge, no wife, no kids, no Barrington, no baseball, no nothing. So I'd like to show the next slide if you guys are not into this. It's just a reality. I just wanted to share with you guys. So this is my right leg right here, and I crashed a bike. I was actually on a test ride working at a dealer. And I always called this an accident when this happened. And this was the first time, after I came to Christ, I realized that this is like one of the biggest gifts I was ever given. That this is what grace looks like, or this is what it's looked like in my life. So a tree entered the outside of my knee, ripped all the way up. So this is my entire thigh right here. I'm a big motherfucker, so you can imagine it's a big thigh. And basically went into my hip all the way up to the bottom of my rib cage. That was 2 months in the hospital, 16 surgeries, 14 reconstructive surgeries, and a couple cosmetic skin grafts. It's actually the first time in my life the doctors looked at me and said, "Man, you should be super glad you're big, dude, because like if you're a normal-sized person, you're toast." And when I crashed that day, I was awake for this whole thing, and slid off the road, crawl back on the road, fully awake, and I reached down my leg, and it's like just sticking your hand in a bowl of spaghetti. 2 registered nurses, which I thought at the time was an accident, or I was just lucky. 2 registered nurses were on their lunch break following me on this test ride. This happened at like 25, 30 miles an hour. So I was racing at the time, so this was on the street. But this was not a typical me being a shithead like accident. This was just like I did 100 of these rides a day. So these girls call 911. Firemen all come, get me in the ambulance. Guy picks me up and goes, "Hey man, just be ready to lose your leg." And I'm like, all right. I mean, this is kind of jacked up, but remember the entire ambulance ride, get in the hospital. And my dad had moved out here. My parents split when I was younger. My dad lived in the Midwest. My mom was going through some mental stuff, like she had dementia and shit. So I'm in the hospital by myself, and man, I was fucking alone. Just like super alone. You go through something like that, and I was never raised in like a Christian family or anything like that. I went to an Episcopalian school. West Coast Episcopalian is like a kind of a free-for-all. So I just felt alone. I didn't really know what to do. So got in the industry, and humming again. Learned how to walk again, all those things. And probably 6 months later, I get a call saying, "Hey, your dad's got cancer." This is my dad calling me, and he's like, really, if you've met my dad, he's like a blunt, old, disgruntled guy. He goes, "Yeah, I got cancer. We're gonna get it figured out." Like he's gonna like tough it out or some shit. So, and everything kind of stopped. You're running and doing all these things, and I put so much value in work and the market and what I was doing, and it really was everything to me. It was ahead of God. God wasn't even a conversation in my head, something that I recognized. And this call kind of rocked me. He's a Cleveland guy. Water catches fire. Like he's like a tough it out guy. He's a guy that you just never think is going to have an issue. So I stopped. I literally was like, I gotta go see him. I've never seen him have a medical issue my entire life. So I flew out, and he has procedure. He's good. He's cancer free. All that good stuff. And I end up, my wife now. So after that, my dad actually put this together. But sorry, this is my wife right here, Lindsay. So my dad set this up. Like he was like, hey, my nurse is a really good person. So I go out and I'm living in California. I'm traveling all over the world, working for Pirelli, and I'm going to Italy. I'm going, just like whatever dream you could imagine in racing, like adrenaline filled, whatever. Everything kind of stopped, and I'm like, man, Dad, your nurse is hot, dude. Like this is good. This is a good deal. He's like, oh, he's all dumped up on pain meds and stuff. Oh, I'll get her number for you. You don't have the courage for it, whatever. So he got her number, man. I don't know. So like, I meet her. We have one interaction. I don't think much of it. I'm here for 2 days. Back to work, right? Because work's the most important thing that you'll ever do, ever. So we get my dad in the hospital. He gets discharged, and Lindsay's got a way better recollection of the story if you guys ever get a chance to meet her, but. She's a nurse. She gets hit on all the time, and disgruntled old men aren't exactly her cup of tea. So she decides like, hey, this, he's talking me up and all this stuff, and she's like, hey, if your son's ever in town, have him hit me up. Maybe we can go get a coffee or something. And my dad comes out of the hospital, like first phone call out of the elevator. I got her number, man. Let's go. Like he's pumped up, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I follow up with her. And it was just like, there's no other way to describe it other than like, I mean, obviously God put that situation together, but our connection was like automatic. Like it was, if I had the text thread, I could probably have it somewhere, but it was insane. The connection we had, just sharing values and do you want kids? Do you have AIDS? Like there was nothing on. We're talking like day 2, like it was going down on day 2, and I'm like, and we're separated by such great distance. So I came out and I was like, hey, I wonder if this is real. Why waste each other's time? Like I want to take you on a proper date. I want to do the right thing. So I flew out here about a month after we met, and it was game on. So I went back to California, and I was like, man, I'm done. Like I've never took a moment for love, never took a moment to be loved or understand what that was. I was always trained to just work, and that like work was your value. And if you didn't work, you were a piece of shit. And if you worked, you'd make money, and that's all that mattered. And that's just how I was raised. And both my parents set that tone for me, which I'm really grateful for. I'm grateful for the entire journey. It wasn't just like one little wedge, It's a really important skill, but come to find out, it's not everything. So I come back here, renounced. Basically, I just quit flat out. I was like, had this big tire empire and all this stuff. Had a race team, semi trucks, like the whole whatever you could measure with NASCAR, same thing in motorcycle road racing. So I came out and just took kind of a leap, and knew that I loved this woman, and took myself a little time to get my footing here in the market in Chicago. No network, no nothing. I'm just kind of living in my dad's basement. I'm like, dude, what does it all mean? I'm in the Midwest. I came from like Northern California in the mountains and the redwoods, and and now I got strip malls and concrete, and it was rough, dude. Like, I know now, but. So I started a business, something I felt kind of pulled to do. You can go to the next slide. So I started a transportation company. God gave me an opportunity to get moving on some things, and I worked it as a second job to start. For about 9 months, I was working 2 jobs, 18, 20 hours a day, and I was saving up to get married. Actually, I didn't have any money. I had a corporate job in the morning, and I would just drive. I'd drive a truck. And I started getting into expedited freight. I didn't really know anything about expedited freight, but I knew it was fast-paced, and it kind of reminded me of racing, except without all the mayhem and carnage and injuries and stuff like that. So I bought a truck, and bought a truck from my wife's dad for $1,200, and I was a mechanic, for a long time, so fixed it myself, put a liftgate on it, put a roll-up door on it, and went to work. And figured out all the regulatory compliance, DOT compliance, FMCSA, all that stuff, started getting into international trade and the domestic trucking part of international, and just understanding the language. So I did what I was taught to do, which was push everything in my life aside except for that one thing within business, where there's what I thought at the time was endless validation. You know, there's money. The market's going to tell you you're doing a good job or you suck. But effort and time, it was always justified. You could find some way to justify it through that. So I just went out and I started my first business when I was like 19. It was a little 1099 thing, whatever. But when I started Blackout, I really didn't know what I was doing. You just do a lot of it, and you can do you're just like, yeah, if you need it done, I'll do it. Whatever. You want your house moved? Sure, I'll do that. So my goal was just to double the business every year. It was a pretty simple goal. It really wasn't that simple, but being naive in that process and going through it. So I actually did it, and I didn't really know I was going to do it or whatever, but it just kept. I would go buy trucks out of farmers' fields, like out in DeKalb. I literally just walk up people's properties and say, hey man, I think I could work on that truck. Like, it looks like a piece of yard art. It'd be cool if I give you $500. The guy's like, yeah man, you start it, you can have it. And so I started building this fleet over the course of 6 years. I built it to about 62 trucks, and we had at one point a little over 100 employees. And it just became more. It just became more regulatory compliance, more money, more mayhem, and there's something hollow about it. And during that build, if you want to go next slide. So during that build, we had this strapping young man here. So we had Gage, who's our oldest, and then 18 months later, we had twins. And it was crazy. I was putting this together. I'm looking at these pictures, and it's like I'm almost seeing them for the first time with a lens through Christ. When these were taken, I didn't even know what was happening. We had 3 under 2 at one point. It was a really hectic time. But I look at some of the purity that came out of some of these pictures, like a smile that's like this right here is the biggest gift in life, period, that I've experienced. I just didn't know it at the time. You know what I mean? Like, you're going through all this stuff, you're trying to build this business, like run 1,000,000 miles an hour. And so a lot of, having kids for me, it wasn't really, it didn't sink in, it was just like, okay, cool, we got these kids, like, this is good, but dude, I got to build this business. Like, these kids are taking away time. And, I'm finding myself like neglecting Gage time, neglecting these twins' time. And of course, the company doesn't talk back, right? You don't have to teach the company anything. You can let your ego run free there. You can do whatever you want there. You can conduct business however you want and do it unethically. You can do it whatever. I always kept the relative moral compass, but I never really had like a driving purpose other than this just needs to be the biggest thing and dominate everyone. And, really the tone of it became like, in the growth of that was, you can either like get on this wagon or you can get the fuck out of my way. That's it. And I took that same tone with my family. Looking back on it, it was one of those things that you like, it resonates with you because that's not right. That's not right. So if you want to go to the next slide. So God's got a way of checking people. So on my way to my first Warrior Week, 2 days before I left, I got in a pretty bad wreck. I was fortunate to walk away from. And again, there's no God present here. There's no recognition of that at the time for me. And so I just kind of chalk these things up to like, hey, this is, it just is what it is. Like, maybe I just bad luck. This is whatever. Shit happens, and here it is. So I kind of, I kept doing the business thing, and I just kept, you just keep hammering. You're told to just shut up and take it, put it in your bag as a man. Just don't be a bitch about it and move on. And I, this next slide, like I actually have a picture of the saddest day of my life to date. If you want to throw that up. and then your kid dies. I'm going to spare you guys the image of a dead kid that I'm holding. This broke me. This broke me. And I did not know what to do. Like, I didn't know how to show up for Lindsay. I didn't know how to show up for Gage. I didn't know how to show up for our twins. We were so fortunate with our first couple pregnancies. Like, they happened quickly. I took them for granted, straight up. I took my kids for granted, big time. And I hate that I had to go through it, but I'm grateful that it happened. And Sam actually helped me. This caused me, the spiral that this caused in my life was, it was really bad. Like, I got to a point, I was sharing this with Andre a little while ago, or on Tuesday. Once you get the business built, and there's stuff flowing, there's infrastructure and all this stuff, life insurance policies and all this. And I remember super vividly, I'm driving my truck, driving a Raptor, king shit, whatever. I'm driving home, and I'm like, man, I wonder if my family would be better off if I just ran this thing into oncoming, and they could just cash out. Like I know I'm not the loving father. I know I'm firm with my kids. I know I've got like short fuse and all this stuff, and I'm like, clearly I can't be trusted with a kid, right? Like, that's why I was taken away. I couldn't be trusted. So all those stories start building, and in my head, and I'm like, damn, man, like, I'm not worthy of kids. I was just shown and proved that. So I started heading down a really rough road, personally, but you would never know. And that was like the most dangerous part of it. You would never know that I was headed down that road. Like, you put this, whatever, put your gear on, go out to the market. Hey, I'm Garrett. Let's go do business. Drive home. Hey, let's run into oncoming traffic. Every day, every single day. Wife broken, like missing the gifts of watching our existing kids grow up, like super bad. If you want to go to the next slide. So this is what happens when you hide from addressing that. Like, I got pictures of the pain. Like, I went from a guy that was racing and bubbly and all that stuff, and not that that's like some be-all, end-all industry or something, but from meeting a girl of my dreams, getting married, having children, and this is where I found myself right here, destroyed, like internally just eaten, and incapable, like I felt unworthy of love. Like I felt like it wasn't for me. It clearly, like I couldn't handle it. I couldn't take it. It was just, it literally beat me up. So I sedated with it. Sedate with alcohol, sedate with work. I mean, work was probably my biggest sedative. It's an easy place to run from it. You can hide yourself from the truth and what you need to address by just working a lot. And the market says it's okay, So I text Sam. I knew Sam from previous Warrior Week that I'd done. And I was like, hey, man, like, I'm in a really bad spot. And, Sam's like, well, hey, man, you got to come out here. Like, we got to do this, dude. Come on, it's different, And he had installed, it was, Warrior Week went through a big change where he really put Christ at the center of it. And I didn't really know at the time. I just knew that I was like, it was pretty much a lifeline to him, And that happened when we lost our child. It was right at the front end of 2020, and we literally walked out of the hospital, and my business shut down. It was COVID, right? Zero. We went from banging revenue to 0 people open, shippers closed, all this stuff, and it was the perfect recipe to go hide. Urgency, not address it, suppress it. So I wore that pain for two and a half years and didn't address it. I didn't bring it up to people. I didn't talk about it. I didn't celebrate Everest, our kid's birthday. I didn't want anything to do. We didn't talk to our kids about it. We didn't do anything. I just hid. I just wanted to hide. I wanted to figure out a way out. So I texted Sam, and then if you want to go to the Next slide. So I didn't know this was going to happen, but Sam actually, as well as a couple people in here, really anchored Christ in my life. Like, this man baptized me in the Pacific Ocean. And he always cites Romans 8:1, you know, and I chose to wear a lot of that. You know, I thought that all of this stuff, like I needed to pay for not having, you know, for having a kid die. I needed to pay for wrongdoings I had done. I needed, you know, there was some other debt in another life. Like, there's some justification. Like, why is all this bad stuff happening? And he invited me to connect with Christ to put that down. And it was this was like the most powerful transition that I've ever been a part of. And I just didn't know about it. You know, I was like, I don't know, man, I just didn't grow up with it. Of course, he beat my ass in the process to get me, like, to pull all the other stuff down. But one of the things that I was always unsure of is, like, man, I'm a really aggressive personality. Like, I've got kind of foul mouth at times and things like that. And I wasn't sure the charge of that. Like, what was I supposed to do with that? Like, my version of a Christian was someone that, like, suit and tie, no offense to anyone wearing a suit and tie, church on Sundays, you know, this, that, and the other. And Sam showed me another lens to consider. That by denying gifts that God's given me around aggression or progression or things like that, you know, being able to take that load, like, there's a war being waged out there right now. Like, we've seen it in the news. And he's like, listen, man, like, there's frontline guys and there's guys that do things in different ways, but there's all different types, and it doesn't make one better than the other. But Sam showed me that, like, there's permission. Like, God wants to love us, despite us not wanting to love us. You know, and I think that's a really important thing for me. So I went in super hard. I literally started studying, and I was trained to do it, and I continue to do it. I'm not perfect, of course, but started going to the Bible study on Tuesdays and just trying to read. You know, not. I didn't want someone. I wanted to just learn this with other men. You know, I wanted to get their take. I wanted to, like, take small segments and really understand what I'm doing, not just plow through this thing. And then shortly after that, we, if you want to go next slide, we got a gift that I never thought we would have another kid. Like, I always, even being able to put those stories down and put that craziness down. And so I just want to encourage you guys, like, our kids are watching. Like, they're watching everything we do. He watches everything I do. They all do. And it's so important to cherish these gifts. Like, it's so important. It's so easy for them to be taken away. Like, let me tell you, when they're taken away and if bad shit is going on in your life, like, please lean into God, man. Like, or one of us or someone who's connected with it, or bring it up and share it. And I'm happy to send you these images if you need a reference point as to how dark it can get. But there's always light in it, and he gave us the biggest beam of light that we could have, and he actually recently just blessed us with another little beam. So we got one on the way, number 5. Yeah, it's legit. Another boy, another member here. We're keeping some generational membership here. So, but yeah, I just want to encourage you guys. Like, there's all different routes, you know, and I know there's pain. There's pain in hiding that exists. It exists in this room. I fight it every day. But I just want to encourage you guys to bring that stuff out and don't hide. Like, don't hide. Don't hide from your kids. Cherish your wife. Cherish Christ. Put Christ at the center of all this stuff. Make sure that relationship is continuing to evolve. And it's been the most impactful thing in my life, like, without a doubt. The ability to say, like, as a man, that you're okay being loved and you're okay loving another man, I think is one of the most powerful things you can have. Like, to accept God's love in your life, it takes a lot. But you got to be honest about it. You got to tell the truth ruthlessly. Like, it's easy to hide. hide behind a phone, hide behind a desk, wherever you want to hide. But it's unneeded. It really is unneeded. That's all I got, man.
Thank you so much. Hey, Drake, you want to come up here and pray us out? Would you mind I put you on the spot for that? Thank you so much, Garrett, for sharing that story. And I think it just it connects back to what Drake shared at the very beginning about that challenge of just discipling one man. Like Garrett wouldn't have gotten to this point if he didn't have Christian men pouring into him, right? Is that fair to say, Garrett? Like that discipleship aspect. So that's that same challenge. Like, who are you in this room discipling? Who are you reaching out to? That is what Garrett was in 2020. In those lows of life, that is wearing it well. You might not know it on the outside, but they're hurting inside. There's a lot of guys in this room in that same way. A lot of people you work with. Like, who are you connecting with? Who are you trying to disciple? Who are you reaching out to? Who are you checking in with routinely? You know, it just doesn't end there. Like, your friends don't say, like, oh, you're a Christian, awesome. All right, well, we'll touch base in a few years, you know. No, it's like you got to be checking in with it. So I love that call to who are we going to disciple and what it can do to change that generation, right? Those things we talk about all the time, the chains that you don't break get passed down to your sons and daughters. And now you've built this new foundation of Christ that you get to pass on for that legacy that can go on. So think about that, men who you can disciple.